Good afternoon. This is All India Radio. I am Anubha Rohatgi and with me is Anuja Kumar with the Midday News. The headlines. Prime Minister Narendra Modi transfers first installment of Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana Gramin to more than 1.47 lakh beneficiaries of Tripura via video conferencing. More than 700 crore rupees credited directly to beneficiaries. Prime Minister to virtually inaugurate Birsa Munda Museum tomorrow in Ranchi as a mark of respect to the legendary freedom fighter. Also to address Janjatiya Divas Mahasammelan in Madhya Pradesh. Union Home Minister Amit Shah to hold Southern Zonal Council meeting at Tirupati in Andhra Pradesh. Commerce and Industry Minister Piyush Goyal inaugurates India International Trade Fair at Pragati Maidan in New Delhi. Over 112 crore 1 lakh COVID-19 vaccine doses administered in the country so far. Centre to launch week-long awareness campaign on Safai Mitra Suraksha Challenge today. Heavy rain continues to lash southern and central parts of Kerala in the state. UN climate talks in Scotland concludes with a global agreement capping global warming at 1.5 degrees Celsius. Environment Minister Bhupendra Yadav says India under Prime Minister Narendra Modi is walking the talk on combating climate change. And in cricket, Australia to take on New Zealand in the final of the T20 World Cup in Dubai this evening. As India created history by administering over 100 crore vaccine doses against COVID-19, All India Radio salutes all the doctors, nurses, other frontline workers and all those who got vaccinated and made this possible. Even though the country has achieved this feat, we caution our listeners that the battle against COVID is not yet over. We appeal to our listeners to get fully vaccinated at the earliest and also help others get vaccinated. During the festival season, please follow these 3 simple steps. Wear a face mask, maintain 2 gaz ki doori for social distancing, and focus on face and hand hygiene. For any COVID-related information and guidance, contact the national helpline numbers 011 2397 8046 and 1075. And now the news in detail. Prime Minister Narendra Modi today transferred the first installment of Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana Gramin (PMAYG) to more than 1.47 lakh beneficiaries of Tripura via video conferencing. More than 700 crore rupees will be credited directly to the bank accounts of the beneficiaries today. Now let's go over to live to listen to the Prime Minister's address.
पूरी सड़कें बन रही हैं, पुल बनाए जा रहे हैं. यहाँ त्रिपुरा में भी नई रेल लाइनों के लिए, नए नेशनल हाईवेज के लिए काफी काम हुआ है. ये आधुनिक इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर आने वाले सालों में पूर्वोत्तर की पहचान को, यहां की प्रगति को नए सिरे से गढ़ेगा. मुझे पूरा भरोसा है कि हमारे ये संकल्प, पूर्वोत्तर में आ रहे ये बदलाव निकट भविष्य में देश को एक नई ऊंचाई पर लेकर जाएंगे. फिर एक बार इतने बड़े महत्वपूर्ण काम, छोटे से राज्य में इतनी बड़ी महत्वपूर्ण छलांग मुझे भी गर्व देती है, आनंद देती है. आप सब लाभार्थियों को, त्रिपुरा के नागरिकों को, पूर्वोत्तर के सभी मेरे प्यारे भाइयों बहनों को अनेक अनेक शुभकामनाएं देता हूं. आप सबको हृदय से बहुत बहुत बधाई देता हूं. बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद.
That was Prime Minister Narendra Modi addressing the beneficiaries of the Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana Gramin in Tripura. The PM also interacted with the beneficiaries of the scheme. On the occasion, Tripura Chief Minister Biplab Kumar Deb was also present. The Chief Minister thanked the Prime Minister for such a big intervention and the release of 709 crore rupees to the beneficiaries of the Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana Gramin. Following the Prime Minister's intervention, taking into account the unique geoclimatic condition of Tripura, Kacha houses have been converted into Pakka houses for the beneficiaries under the PMAY Gramin scheme. Union Rural Development Minister and Chief Minister of Tripura were also present during the occasion. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will lead the celebrations of the Janjatiya Gaurav Divas as part of Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav tomorrow. The government has decided to celebrate the birth anniversary of Bhagwan Birsa Munda, which falls on 15th November, as Janjatiya Gaurav Divas. Birsa Munda is revered as Bhagwan by tribal communities across the country. Union Tribal Affairs Minister Arjun Munda said the Prime Minister will first pay floral tributes to Birsa Munda at his statue at Parliament House and then will virtually inaugurate the Birsa Munda Freedom Fighter Museum at Ranchi, Jharkhand. The museum has been built at the jail complex where Birsa Munda breathed his last during his incarceration. The Prime Minister will also inaugurate the Janjatiya Gaurav Divas officially at Bhopal, where over 2 lakh tribal people will join the function. Birsa Munda, one of the earliest known tribal freedom fighters, was a true warrior who fought bravely against the exploitative system of British colonial government in the late 19th century.
In Madhya Pradesh, Prime Minister Narendra Modi will address the Tribal Pride Day Mahasammelan tomorrow at Jamburi Maidan, Bhopal. Mahasammelan is being organized on the birth anniversary of Lord Birsa Munda. The Prime Minister will also dedicate the country's first PPP built in Rani Kamlapati railway station at Habibganj in Bhopal to the nation. More from our Bhopal correspondent.
Prime Minister will also launch Sickle Cell Eradication Mission and Ration Aapke Dwar Yojana in the state at the Mahasammelan. Programs will be held in every tribal-dominated Gram Panchayat of the state. Tributes will also be paid to tribal heroes for their contribution in the freedom struggle. All the tribes of the state like Gond, Baiga, Bhil, Korku, Saharia, Kol will participate in the program. This program will depict the traditional dress, culture, life values of the tribes. Products of self-help groups of tribal community will be displayed on the Vocal for Local theme. About 2 lakh people from different tribes will participate, while about 1 crore tribals will be connected to the program through webcast. Pooja P. Vardhan, AIR News, Bhopal.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi met a delegation of BJP leaders from Punjab today. BJP Punjab President Ashwani Kumar Sharma, National General Secretary Tarun Chugh and National Executive Member Harjeet Singh Grewal attended this meeting.
Over 112 crore 1 lakh COVID-19 vaccine doses have been administered in the country so far under the nationwide vaccination drive. More than 57 lakh 43,000 vaccine doses were administered in the last 24 hours. Meanwhile, over 11,000 new COVID-19 cases were reported in the country in the last 24 hours, while more than 11,376 people recovered. 285 people lost their lives during the same period. Till now, more than 3 crore 38 lakh people have recovered from COVID-19. The Health Ministry has said that more than 124 crore vaccine doses have been provided to states and union territories so far. It added that more than 18 crore 74 lakh balanced and unutilized COVID vaccine doses are still available with states and union territories to be administered.
The Union Home Minister Amit Shah visited Venkatachalam in Sri Potti Srimalu, Nellore district. The Home Minister and Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu visited a Vidyalayam in Nellore and later visited the Skill Development Centre. The Southern States Conference will be held in Tirupati, Chittoor district in Andhra Pradesh today from 3 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. The Southern Zonal Meeting will discuss 26 key issues such as cooperation between states, conflicts, border issues, internal security, infrastructure development, industries, tourism development, economic development, exports of any pending issues and cooperation between the centre states. Each state is coming to this meeting with a different agenda. The Vice President of India, M. Venkaiah Naidu, has called upon the youth and women to upgrade their skills and participate in building a strong nation. Home Minister Amit Shah will chair the 29th meet of the Southern Zonal Council at the Temple Town, Tirupati today. The Andhra Pradesh State Government had made an elaborate arrangement for the 29th Southern Zonal Council meet scheduled in Tirupati, which will have the presence of a galaxy of dignitaries from the southern states and union territories. 2 terror groups, Revolutionary People's Front and the Manipur Naga People's Front, have claimed responsibility for the terrorist attack in which a commanding officer of the Assam Rifles, his wife and son, besides 4 personnel, were killed yesterday in Churachandpur district of Manipur. In a joint statement yesterday evening, the groups claimed that they were not aware of the army officer's wife and son's presence in the convoy. Viplav Tripathi, the commanding officer of Kuga Battalion of Assam Rifles, a colonel rank officer, his family and others died in the ambush. Tripathi's convoy was targeted at Sehkan village in Churachandpur district. In Maharashtra, 26 Naxals were killed yesterday in an encounter with the police in Gadchiroli district. District Superintendent of Police Ankit Goyal said that police have recovered the bodies of 26 Nakshals from the forest. He further informed that while the identity of the slain Nakshals is yet to be ascertained, according to sources, a top rebel leader was suspected to be among them. Mr. Goyal said that 3 police personnel were also seriously injured in the action and were taken to Nagpur via helicopter for treatment.
The biggest ever Dubai Air Show began at Al Maktoum International Airport, Dubai World Central today, with more than 1,200 exhibitors taking part in the 5-day show. The Dubai Air Show is also the largest of its kind since the outbreak of the COVID-19 pandemic. The show also features more than 160 of the world's most advanced aircraft on the ground and in the air. An Indian Air Force IAF contingent is also taking part in the Dubai Air Show following the invitation by the government of UAE to participate with the Sarang and Surya Kiran aerobatics teams. These teams will be performing along with some of the best aerobatics and display teams in the world, including the Saudi Hawks, Russian Knights and the UAE's Al Fursan. In addition, the IAF's light combat aircraft Tejas will also be part of the aerobatics and static displays during the show. Chief of the Army Staff General M.M. Narawane has proceeded on a 5-day visit to Israel. This is his first visit to the country. During the visit, he will be meeting Israel's senior military and civilian leadership, where he will discuss avenues for further enhancing Indo-Israel defense relations. The Army Chief will take forward the excellent bilateral defense cooperation between India and Israel through multiple meetings with senior officials of the security establishment.
5 new integrated checkposts, or ICPs, will be set up on the India-Bangladesh border in West Bengal to ensure better connectivity and security. The decision was taken during the high-level meeting of the Union Home Secretary Ajay Bhalla with senior officials of West Bengal government in Kolkata on Friday, said the Land Port Authority of India. In total, 7 ICPs will be set up in West Bengal, which will strengthen border security and boost trade with India's neighbouring countries. These include 5 ICPs on the Indo-Bangladesh border and 1 ICP each on borders with Nepal and Bhutan. You are listening to the Midday News on All India Radio. A reminder of the headlines before we move on. Prime Minister Narendra Modi transfers first installment of Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana Grameen to more than 1.47 lakh beneficiaries of Tripura via video conferencing. More than 700 crore rupees credited directly to beneficiaries. Prime Minister to virtually inaugurate Birsa Munda Museum tomorrow in Ranchi as a mark of respect to the legendary freedom fighter. Also to address Janjatiya Divas Mahasammelan in Madhya Pradesh. Union Home Minister Amit Shah to hold Southern Zonal Council meeting at Tirupati in Andhra Pradesh. Commerce and Industry Minister Piyush Goyal inaugurates India International Trade Fair at Pragati Maidan in New Delhi. Over 112 crore 1 lakh COVID-19 vaccine doses administered in the country so far. Centre to launch week-long awareness campaign on Safai Mitra Suraksha Challenge today. Heavy rain continues to lash southern and central parts of Kerala in the state. UN climate talks in Scotland concludes with global agreement capping global warming at 1.5 degrees Celsius. Environment Minister Bhupendra Yadav says India under Prime Minister Narendra Modi is walking the talk on combating climate change. And in cricket, Australia to take on New Zealand in the final of T20 World Cup in Dubai this evening. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on our Twitter handle at AIR News Alerts.
चलो मिलकर एक शुरुआत करें, चलो एक फैसला आज करें, मास्क नहीं तो टोकेंगे, कोरोना को रोकेंगे, चलो एक इरादा करते हैं, चलो कुछ वादा करते हैं, मास्क नहीं तो टोकेंगे, कोरोना को रोकेंगे.
Welcome back to the Midday News. Commerce and Industry Minister Piyush Goyal today said the initiatives of the India International Trade Fair IITF are reflective of the resilience of the Indian economy bouncing back. Inaugurating the 40th IITF, Mr. Goyal said, with the trade fair, one of the finest and country's largest convention centers will come up at the Pragati Maidan complex. Mr. Goyal said today's launch of this trade fair reflects the 5 sutras of India, which are economy, exports, infrastructure, demand and diversity.
I can very proudly say that the India International Exhibition and Convention Center being developed in Pragati Maidan will be amongst the best in the world and will truly attract a lot of attention, a lot of huge trade fairs coming up in the years to come also, and will become a unique symbol reflecting the growing strength and vibrancy of a new India. In fact, I do believe Pragati Maidan will be scripting a new chapter in the growth story of India.
He complimented IITF organizers for consistently holding the fair and attracting lakhs of visitors. The theme of this year's fair is Atmanirbhar Bharat. Mr. Goyal said this edition of IITF is seeing record participation as more than 3,000 small and big businesses are taking part. The minister lauded the organizers for providing stalls free of cost for women and MSME entrepreneurs. He said other MSMEs, including startups, have been given a 40% discount by the ITPO. The fair will continue till the 27th of this month. The annual event, which witnesses record footfall, was not held last year due to the COVID-19 outbreak. Bihar is the partner state this year, whereas Uttar Pradesh and Jharkhand are the focus states. More from our correspondent.
The event will be organized in safe and secure environment with all COVID protocols. The first 5 days of the trade fair are exclusively reserved for business days, and it will open to the general public from 19th November. The timings of the fair will be 9:30 a.m. to 7:30 p.m. IITF tickets for both business days as well as general days can be purchased from customer care centers of 65 metro stations. On general days for the public, in case of weekend and holidays, the rates of IITF tickets will be 150 rupees for adult and 60 rupees for child, while on weekdays it will be charged 80 rupees for adult and 40 rupees for child. On business days, the ticket rates will be higher. For Divyang and senior citizens, the entry into the fair will be free. Anand Kumar, AIR News, Delhi.
UN climate talks in Scotland has concluded with a global agreement aimed at keeping alive hopes of capping global warming at 1.5 degrees Celsius and so maintain a realistic shot at saving the world from catastrophic climate change. Nations have accepted a compromise deal aimed at keeping a key global warming target alive, but it contained a last-minute change that watered down crucial language about coal. Meanwhile, Environment Minister Bhupendra Yadav said India under Prime Minister Narendra Modi is walking the talk on combating climate change. In a tweet, he said, "We demand the same from the developed world." Earlier yesterday, Mr. Bhupendra Yadav took aim at a draft deal at the United Nations Climate Summit, saying he disagreed with the language on fossil fuel subsidies and that the draft lacked balance. In one of the strongest criticisms of the COP26 draft deal, Yadav said developing nations had the right to use the remainder of the so-called global carbon budget, or the amount of carbon dioxide the world can release before warming crosses the 1.5 degree Celsius threshold. Talking to AIR News, Dr. Srikant K. Panigrahi, Director General of Indian Institute of Sustainable Development, said the technology transfer and the finance are the key pillars to mitigate the climate change.
The most important question of the hour is the climate finance. And if the finance comes, both the adaptation and mitigation related issues can be taken. Technology transfer will flow, and it is a very substantial requirement because in 2009 in Copenhagen, the developed world pledged $100 billion per year. Prime Minister Modi in his speech also mentioned that we require a $1 trillion climate finance support. We are doing the best.
And now, let's listen to our special program, Azadi Ka Safar, highlighting the importance of the day during the freedom struggle.
आजादी का अमृत महोत्सव।
Azadi Ka Safar with AIR News. Birth of a Nation. India's glorious freedom struggle is one of the greatest struggles the modern world has ever witnessed. AIR News brings you a glimpse of the struggle every day.
Jawaharlal Nehru, first Prime Minister of independent India, was born on November the 14th, 1889 at Allahabad. After getting educated at home until the age of 16, Nehru went to Harrow, a leading English school, where he stayed for 2 years. From Harrow, he went to Trinity College, Cambridge.
On leaving Cambridge, he qualified as a barrister after 2 years at the Inner Temple, London. On his return to India, Nehru at first tried to settle down as a lawyer, but he was an unsuccessful attorney.
Until he met Mahatma, he was not interested in anything. Jawaharlal was attracted by Gandhi's insistence to fight against the British rule of India without fear or hate. Nehru's role in Indian politics was secondary until he was elected president of the Congress Party in 1929, when he presided over the historic session at Lahore that proclaimed complete independence as India's political goal.
Nehru was one of the principal leaders of India's independence movement in the 1930s and 40s. From the year 1921 to 1945, he served 8 periods of detention, totaling 9 years in jail. Post-independence, Jawaharlal was elected to assume office as independent India's first Prime Minister.
Long years ago, we made a tryst with destiny, and now the time comes when we shall redeem our pledge, not wholly or in full measure, but very substantially. At the stroke of the midnight hour, when the world sleeps, India will awake to life and freedom.
As the Prime Minister of the new Republic, Nehru contributed immensely towards building a democratic polity, planned economy and industrial development. He also focused on high education institutions and far-sighted policies in developing space technology and atomic energy.
He served as the Prime Minister for 18 years, first as the interim Prime Minister and from 1950 as the Prime Minister of the Republic of India. Nehru also became noted for his neutralist, non-aligned policies in foreign affairs. Jawaharlal Nehru passed away on 27th of May 1964.
A widely admired author, his books written in prison, such as Letters from a Father to His Daughter, an autobiography, and The Discovery of India, 1946, are still read around the world.
Marathwada public leader Anantrao Bhalerao was born on 14th of November 1918 in Aurangabad, Maharashtra, fondly known as Anna. He was a journalist who lived a valued life. He jumped into the Hyderabad liberation struggle movement at a young age, for which he was imprisoned.
In 1944, he started an agitation against the Nizam government's compulsion to recover levies. Anantrao, along with Vaghmare, edited the newspaper Marathwada. Anantrao took the role of protecting the rights of the people by presenting the complaints of the people in the Marathwada newspaper and exposing the injustice done to them.
The paper was banned in the state of Hyderabad. On 15th of August 1947, a call was made to carry out satyagraha by hosting tricolour flags in homes and public places. This led to a scuffle with the Nizam's armed police.
Anantrao had led all these battles. With the ending of Nizam's rule in 1948, Marathwada was relaunched. Anna also had to go to the Nasik jail once again during the emergency in 1975. Anantrao died on the 26th of October 1995. He is remembered as a great public leader and nationalist journalist even today.
14th of November is also the birth anniversary of Pilu Modi. Modi was an architect and politician and one of the founding members of the Swatantra Party. He was educated at the Doon School, Dehradun, and the University of California, Berkeley, from where he graduated with a master's degree in architecture.
In political life, Modi was an advocate of liberalism and freedom. In 1967, he was elected to the 4th Lok Sabha, representing the Godhra constituency in Gujarat. In 1971, he was re-elected and served in the 5th Lok Sabha until March 1977. In 1975, at the time of the emergency in India, Modi was imprisoned. On the 10th of April 1978, Modi was elected to the Rajya Sabha and served there until his death in 1983.
That brings us to the end of this episode of Azadi Ka Safar AIR News ke Sang. See you in the next episode tomorrow.
This is All India Radio giving you the news. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on Twitter at AIR News Alerts. Best wishes to all consumers for Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. Hallmark ensures purity of gold. Always purchase Hallmark gold jewellery. For any consumer-related complaints, please contact National Consumer Helpline's toll-free number 14404, issued in public interest by Department of Consumer Affairs, Government of India, Jago Grahak Jago.
As part of the World Toilet Day celebrations, Ministry of Housing and Urban Development will launch a week-long awareness campaign on Safai Mitra Suraksha Challenge today. A total of 246 cities are participating in the Safai Mitra Suraksha Challenge, which is being conducted across the country. Through this challenge, it is aimed to encourage cities to mechanize their sewer and septic tank cleaning operations in order to prevent deaths and fatalities of sanitation workers from hazardous entry. Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu and Prime Minister Narendra Modi have paid tributes to former Prime Minister Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru on his birth anniversary today. Mr. Naidu said that Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru will always be remembered for his contribution towards building a modern India. In a tweet, the Prime Minister said, "Tributes to Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru ji on his birth anniversary."
In Kerala, a red alert is in place in 13 dams across the state. Water will be released from Idukki Reservoir this afternoon. A shutter of Cherutoni Dam will be raised 40 centimeters, allowing the release of 40 cumex water from the reservoir. State Irrigation Minister Roshi Augustine said it was decided to release water even before the red alert mark as a precautionary measure to regulate water level in the reservoir. Meanwhile, Met Department said heavy to very heavy rainfall is likely to occur in 9 districts across the state today. More from our correspondent.
Rainfall is heavy in hilly and low-lying areas. The heavy downpour has flooded most of the regions, reporting widespread damage. MC Road in Kollam, Aluva City, many areas of Pathanamthitta, Pandalam, etc. are facing widespread flooding. Met Department forecasts heavy rains in the state today and tomorrow. A red alert is declared in Ernakulam, Idukki and Thrissur districts and orange alert in 9 districts. Idukki Dam will be opened today as water level rose. High alert is declared in landslide-prone regions and areas on the riverside. Mayusha for AR News from Thiruvananthapuram.
Tamil film Kurongal has been selected to be screened at the Indian Panorama segment in the 52nd International Film Festival, Goa. The film Kurongal, incidentally, is India's official entry for Academy Award for Oscars. Talking to our correspondent, the editor of the film, Ganeshan, said that it is a proud moment for the entire team of Kurongal.
I'm Ganesh Shiva. I'm editor of Kulangal. Kulangal is actually a very simple film which revolves around South Mid Tamil Nadu. It's just a story of a son and his father who are set in a journey to find their mother. We didn't plan big dreams or stages for Kulangal. We just, together as a team, we lifted Kulangal till its completion. Now Kulangal is lifting us to all places.
Australia will take on New Zealand in the final of the ICC Men's T20 World Cup in Dubai today. The match will begin at 7:30 p.m. All India Radio will broadcast a ball-by-ball commentary of the T20 World Cup final. And now, before we end the bulletin, the headlines once again. Prime Minister Narendra Modi transfers first installment of Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana Grameen to more than 1.47 lakh beneficiaries of Tripura via video conferencing. More than 700 crore rupees credited directly to beneficiaries. Prime Minister to virtually inaugurate Birsa Munda Museum tomorrow in Ranchi as a mark of respect to the legendary freedom fighter. Also to address Janjatiya Divas Mahasammelan in Madhya Pradesh. Union Home Minister Amit Shah to hold Southern Zonal Council meeting at Tirupati in Andhra Pradesh. Commerce and Industry Minister Piyush Goyal inaugurates India International Trade Fair at Pragati Maidan in New Delhi. Over 112 crore 1 lakh COVID-19 vaccine doses administered in the country so far. Centre to launch week-long awareness campaign on Safai Mitra Suraksha Challenge today. Heavy rain continues to lash southern and central parts of Kerala. UN climate talks in Scotland concludes with a global agreement capping global warming at 1.5 degrees Celsius. Environment Minister Bhupendra Yadav says India under Prime Minister Narendra Modi is walking the talk on combating climate change. And in cricket, Australia to take on New Zealand in the final of T20 World Cup in Dubai this evening. And with that, we end the Midday News.